Welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show, hosted by Joseph of Borg. You can call in live 725-333-4140. Oh, you got me drinking. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Chronic Pain Call-In Show. I am Joseph of Borg, your host, coming to you on Independence Day. If you are here in the USA like I am, happy Independence Day. If you're somewhere else, I guess it may not mean a lot to you. And for those of you on the other side of the pond, nothing but love for you. I always post the meme that Happy Treason Day on Grateful Colonials, but because I got a weird sense of humor. But I'm glad you came out to see today and visit for a minute on what can be a very busy holiday. A lot of people getting ready to do their grilling and watch the fireworks, which traumatizes my dog, something fierce. But I really appreciate you stopping in. Let me check out my comments here. Happy 4th. Thank you, James. I thought I'd take a little bit of a different view because this is my first dual stream or multi-stream. I'm streaming right now to both Facebook and YouTube via StreamYard, which I finally paid for my subscription. I've been saving up my pennies, so to speak, so that I was able to do that. Changed my overlay a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. If you like it, don't like it, hate it, shit's too big, whatever, give me your opinion. But I thought Independence Day might be a really good day to talk about some of our goals as chronic pain patients for our independence. Everybody always gets gung-ho doing their, excuse me a second, with their New Year's resolutions, which usually I break by Valentine's Day at the latest. And I just thought maybe it's a good idea if we took Independence Day, no matter where you live, and chose to declare our independence from something, or maybe someone. I mean, I don't know. Each person's different, but we struggle with a lot of things. We struggle with our physical limitations, our mental state as chronic pain patients. I think there's things that we can all do better and work at as far as our independence goes. I know personally for me, I didn't really begin to progress until I made certain acceptances and made certain personal progress, both in my mindset as well as in my routine. But I just thought I'd ask. I mean, what do you guys think? What are you out there looking to declare your independence from, so to speak? What do you find the challenge? Is it independence from? Some people are looking to get off certain medications. Maybe you have independence. You're seeking to find independence from the judgment of other people who don't understand you. I know being 6'2", 300 pounds, and looking like I could play in the NFL, I often get the stink eye when I use my handicap parking. It got to the point that I started carrying my MRI photos and x-rays on my cell phone. I had a woman berating me about using handicap parking when I obviously wasn't fucked up. Excuse my language, but it's how it is. So I actually pulled up my image. I said, ma'am, let me show you something. I showed her an x-ray of my spine. She went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Maybe you're looking for independence from being offended easily. I mean, granted, you're going to meet certain people who are on a mission to offend you. But I know for me, one of the struggles was, I hope you get better, or I hope you feel better after having a conversation with somebody about the fact I've got a chronic condition. I'm not going to get better. But I used to let that really piss me off and have space in my head and just, really get to me until I decided to just take it as they're wishing me well. They don't know what else to say. I compare it a lot to like at a funeral where everybody's, if there's anything I can do, and the same old cliches because they just don't know what to say. Maybe this isn't a real popular topic. I'm losing some viewers, but I see I got 5 of you left. But hey, it is what it is. At some point, we have to take some responsibility for our quality of life. That's really what it all boils down to, whether it's medications, toxic people, toxic relationships, uh, the woe is me, the why me. Hey, granted, we all have our pity party, okay, and we all deserve one now and then, but there's a difference between having a pity party and making it a way of life. um, maybe it's independence from self-sympathy. You got to cut yourself some slack, but you also have to keep things in perspective. So I don't know what's some of the things that you guys. Yeah, the trying to do this or that. I always just write. I always just tell them, I'll look into that, or thanks for looking out for me. Good looking out. I'll check into it. Odds are I've already looked into it, or whatever their essential oils. I find about a third of the people who want to tell me what I should try for my chronic illness are trying to actually sell me something. So, uh, that's not exactly, you know, take it all with a grain of salt. I know I'm looking to try and get free of declare my independence from my lifelong uh, challenges with food, man. I've got a obsessive compulsive personality, I think might be the proper way to put it. But man, if I got an open bag of Doritos, it's an empty bag of Doritos. I'm not good with moderation when it comes to food. So and I do it to myself. And the way I have found that is working the best for me is to own my own mess. Generally, the truth will set you free, right? But it's usually going to hurt you or piss you off first, until you embrace some realities and try and get some perspective. There's days where the only way I can keep my mood above water, so to speak, is to remind myself I don't have to walk 6 miles for fresh water or anything crazy. Yeah, and Carol, I'm going to put up her comment because it's very, you know, it works most days. And having a lot of people seem to think that if you have a positive attitude or tell them to have a positive attitude, or that there's other people in worse situations, that you're somehow diminishing or not respecting their situation. No, I'm trying to respect your situation, but I'm also trying to give you perspective to help you deal and cope. Did you eat today? Um, do you live indoors? You got clothes. I mean, there are things to be grateful, and that ties into my faith in trying to have a attitude of gratitude, because it's impossible to be depressed and grateful at the same time. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, because I try and keep it real with y'all. There's been times I've wished I wouldn't wake up, but every day when I do, I try to be glad I did. And I try to find something positive to do with my life. Hence the chronic pain call-in show. I do it as much for me as I do it for you guys. It's I needed to find something productive and positive to do with my time, and I thought reaching out to try and have a rapport with other chronic pain patients through the technology available to us today would be something I could try. And well, here I am. And I run several Facebook groups, one for spinal cord stimulators and whatnot. But yeah, just because somebody else has it worse than you doesn't dissipate your pain or your situation, but it can help you keep it in perspective. Because I always tell people, if there's a mental aspect to something like the game of golf, then there damn sure is a mental aspect to managing chronic pain. But yeah, a lot of times also chronic pain patients from what I've read on the internet in groups and whatnot, if somebody suggests they get some psychological help to deal with it, because if you don't have situational depression and you have chronic pain, now situational depression is different than what's the one where they put you on the meds, clinical depression or whatever. You know, if you've got a prognosis of paralysis or pain that's going to get worse as long as you live, yeah, that's depressing. That sucks. It would be abnormal if it didn't suck and give you some depressed feelings. But to wallow in it doesn't do you any good. But yeah, a lot of chronic pain patients seem to think that if their doctor or somebody suggests they get some psychological help, that somehow the pain's all in their head, or that they're not taking them seriously, or that they think they're nuts, when it's not true. I mean, there's lots of things in life that we don't get taught how to deal with. There's a lot of things in high school. It's funny, high school and whatnot. They want to teach what a relationship is, but they have very little instruction on how to manage one, how to compromise, what makes one work a long time, what are toxic ideas. They tell you what it is, but they don't tell you how to do it. I know personally for me, when my mother passed, I got some help because my father had already passed when I was 11. I didn't have the tools. I'm just being honest about it. I didn't have the tools, so I went out and got them. But yeah, I'm wondering if any of you want to make a comment or have any thoughts. What are you struggling to get your independence from? So, oh, that must have really bored them. We're down to 3. Hey, I appreciate you 3 who are hanging in there. Also, I'm wearing a tank because we made a last-minute run to Menards to get some play sand to put in. My wife built a fire pit yesterday. Carol says the shame of asking for help, that is a big one. Either shame or ego, or a lot of us don't want to ask for help. It's difficult to ask for help. My wife, I can relate completely, because yesterday my wife built a fire pit in our backyard. 36 inches square, came out nice. But I can't really help. She was putting the landscape bricks or whatever in the cart, and I play mule and I pull them over to where she's going to unload them, and that's about it. I can't mow the lawn anymore because I can't take the vibration, even though we got an electric mower, which is much better than a gas mower in just about every capacity. But yeah, the shame of asking for help. How about just the resistance to asking for help, not asking for help when we really need it, which can put us in bad situations, sometimes dangerous situations. We struggle unnecessarily. Sometimes we wall out those who love us and are around us, that want to help us and don't know how, because we won't ask for what we need, either physically or emotionally. I think that's a big one to get past. The shame of asking for help, the guilt of having to do it. It's just I can relate. Tied into that kind of in a way. I think a lot of us, and especially in the States, what we do for a living is so much a focus of who we are, that once you have to leave the workforce, it becomes you have to reinvent yourself. It strips away a lot of your personality. So, judgment of others, judging others, I'm guilty of it, man. It's just like everybody else. We want to compare and contrast. It's how we're wired. There's times somebody will put up an MRI image of their spine, talking about how they've got 10 pain and this and that. And 10 pain, you're probably passing out. If you're having a calm, rational conversation, you're probably not at a 10 by most scales, but That's a whole nother concept, how crappy the pain scale is. Um, and I'll look at it, and man, it's nowhere near as bad as mine. And I'm well aware you can't necessarily tell how painful a spinal issue is by looking at the images. But there's sometimes I look at it and I'll admit sometimes I'm like, oh God, please, dude, shit. I wish my back looked that good. But you know, again, you try to not be judgmental of other people in their condition because, if you haven't walked the mile in their moccasins, you really don't know. James is really keeping it real. Yeah. You know, accepting the idea that I was never going to be pain free was a huge step for me. Um, you know, I can take enough opiates probably so I don't feel pain, but I'll also drool on myself and I can't follow a sitcom. So what life is that? Sitting on the couch like a potato. So, but yeah, the depression can be tough. Surrounding yourself with positive people, being great again, like I said, being grateful for the things you can do. I've had people tell me I set the bar awful low, but I've always been grateful I've never had to crawl to the toilet. Okay, that's just my personal thing. Could be worse. I could have to crawl to the toilet. Um, so yeah, the depression's a bitch, and it becomes a real spiral. And the depression makes your pain worse. Pain makes your depression worse, and it becomes a cyclic thing, and it can become a very severe and quick downward spiral. I think it's something that's not talked about enough. How chronic pain and depression kind of interlock a little bit. Um, yeah, it's. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they do the uh, psych screen. If you're getting a spinal cord stimulator like I have, you have to go through a psychological evaluation. And the other thing is, I'm trying to find my way free in independence from absolute statements. Because people want to act like absolute this and that, and that one thing completely discredits another. I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, so I'll give you an example. For those of us in the chronic pain community who are active on the opiate issue, for instance, of opiate medications, we have to concede that yes, there are some people who abuse their meds, and there are people out there, doctors that'll write scripts that shouldn't, a lot less than there used to be because they cracked down on it so much. Pill mills have and do exist. Let's face it, they can't keep drugs out of the country no matter how hard they try. They've been trying for decades, no luck. But yeah, just because you have to acknowledge not everybody who has chronic pain is going to get better. Some people have psychological issues and on some level of their psyche don't want to be better. There's some kind of hypochondriac. Those people do exist. We can't pretend that they don't exist. How do you separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak? I don't know. I'm not that intelligent. Can you believe everybody? Well, that gets to be dangerous too. So, there's so many. It's such a multi-layered task when you have chronic pain to manage it, see through it, try and deal with the depression. And I think another issue, excuse me, I hope that's not horribly loud on the mic. Um, Another issue I think with the depression is isolation, loneliness. I read a blurb the other day. They said loneliness is the new smoking, which I thought was a very peculiar way of putting it. But yeah, the isolation and the loneliness that often come from not being able to do things, not being able to go out maybe on the 4th and be as active as you'd like and see family members as you'd like. Maybe you're like me and sometimes it's a convenient excuse. Shh, if you really don't want to go hang out with certain people. So, yeah, I don't know what else to really chat about here on Independence Day. I'm open to suggestions. Also, if you have any suggestions for future topics and shows, always be always be. How am I? Come on, brain. I'm always open to suggestions, so please be encouraged. Leave me some comments, feedback, whatever. Now that I'm reaching out to both YouTube and Facebook, I'm going to probably need some better content topics, and it becomes hard. I've been making videos now for years, and it becomes hard week after week to come up with topics. I used to do more of a lecture format. I'd have 4 or 5 points on a topic and kind of just lecture. But I don't want to really lecture. I want this to be more interactive. That's why I've got the phone lines available, obviously the chat available. Carol with a comment. Yep, puzzles, reading, etc. I can't play online poker for real money. Not that I played for big stakes. I'd play like 50-cent buy-in tournaments and stuff when I lived in Nevada. But I would do that and blast some music in my headphones to give myself a ton of stimulation. So yeah, to try and, I mean, you can only focus on so many things at once. You know, isn't it like the old joke that if your foot hurts, hit your thumb with a hammer and you won't notice that your foot hurts, right? It's almost overwhelming the senses. And then I have other times where noise, I don't know how to explain it. It's physically painful. It's if I'm at the pool working out and like the daycare people come in and with the screaming kids and the notes they hit, it just I got to pack up and go. It's not their fault. It's just how it is. You know, sometimes some noises and sounds I've become sensitive to. Almost like vibration causes me pain. It's hard to explain. So what other kinds of things are you folks? What do you guys think I should talk about? Each of you must have some idea. I think the Carol, thanks so much for talking about this keeping busy. I'm definitely going to use that in a future show. Talk about the distractions. Finding what works for you. You know, and a lot of people, again, it seems like a lot of people have the knee-jerk reaction, and I get it because they've probably run into a lot of people that don't take their situation serious. But when you suggest things like that, some people just get, no, that's not going to fix it. Nothing's going to fix it. Okay. Look, it's kind of, I've used this analogy to people in the past. Suppose you had a horrific car accident, God forbid, and you lost a limb. Now, you can spend the rest of your life bitching and complaining that you're missing your left arm or whatever, or you can move on and try to have the best life you can. Which path do you want to take? If you want to be miserable forever, you don't need to be a chronic pain patient. There's enough going on globally, locally, and politically, and everything else that you can be you can find as much bad news out there and be as miserable as you want to be, and vice versa. I always tell people I quit watching the news for a long time because there's never any good news on the news. Somewhere someone did something great, but they never put that on the news. It's always death and despair. Even if the fireman just got a cat out of the tree, which I don't think that's even a thing anymore. I'm dating myself. So anyway, I've been on for about 25 minutes, which unless I've really got some interaction and some hot topic, that's where I usually try and keep it brief. Otherwise, I think I tend to get too rambly. So I'm going to wind it up here in the next few minutes, unless you guys have some more comments. I really, really appreciate those of you who show up virtually every week, and especially those of you who showed up today on the holiday to visit with me today. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Yeah, it makes me feel like it's all worthwhile. When I first started making videos, that depression, self-doubt creeped in that, am I just screaming into the dark? Who am I kidding? Nobody's going to watch. So I appreciate you guys so much just for taking the time to interact and stop by. So if before you leave, you can throw me a thumbs up or a like, that'll help me in the logarithms or whatever, so that other people can find the show as well. So with that, from Southeast Iowa, well, which isn't the end of the world, but you can see it from there. It's Joseph of Borg. I'm out of here. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.